Hey, what's up? In today's video, I'll be painting Supergirl by Abe3D, taking it from this into this. Let's go. Hi and welcome to the channel. This Supergirl model has gold parts with it, and I'm gonna try out several gold paints, so today's gonna be different, and I'll start off with gold. So I did my homework and done a spoon test, but I'm not quite satisfied because I want to see how each of them would look like on the actual statue itself. So I went an extra mile and cut myself a section of the model. Well, I think it's fun to do, so why the heck not? I have 4 kinds of gold paints to test out, and I haven't used any of these paints yet, so this will definitely help me decide before I actually jump into the abyss and paint the model straight away. And after 3D printing some samples, I painted them and I ended up with this. Okay, first is Vallejo model color gold, and I don't know, it looks bad. It's too pale and it just looks dull. I guess this is a no for me. Next is this Tamiya X12 gold leaf, and yeah, I think I'll pass on this one too. Next is Vallejo glorious gold. It actually looks better and more saturated than the first two, but I feel like something's missing. I don't know what it is. It's not enough and it's not the gold that I actually want. And finally, chrome and Tamiya clear orange. And it looks like we have a winner. This is absolutely the gold that I want. Kinda reminds me of the One Ring. And yeah, I'll show you how it's done. And the first thing that we need to do is to get a good chrome. And the key to getting a good chrome is a nice glossy black undercoat such as this. I'm using Tamiya Gloss Black, and I'll thin it out with an acrylic thinner. One simple way to test if the paint is thin enough is by dipping a mixing stick such as this, and once the paint starts dripping, then that's thin enough for the airbrush. Well, there are many ways to do it, and the most famous is the whole milk viscosity. Meaning if it runs like a whole milk, then it's ready for the airbrush. But I'll stick to this dripping test because it works well for me. And now that we've done a gloss black undercoat, then it's time to do the chrome. You want to take the air pressure down to 15 psi and spray it as slow as possible. Take it easy and be very patient with this one. And once you're done, just wait till it fully dries. Now it's time to apply the clear orange. Just spray away until you get the look that you want. If you want it light, then just do a single coat. Otherwise, apply more coats to make it darker. Now you can turn up the pressure back to 26 psi, or whatever your preferred normal airbrushing pressure. And there we have it. I think this will be my go-to gold from now on. Alright, now let's talk about masking. Sure, there's a million ways to do it, and it's up to you what works for you best. You could either do it with a masking tape, or a masking solution such as this one, or a little bit of both. But my personal preference is not to do it at all. Well, as much as I can. I chose this method because I feel like this is the easiest way for me. And I save on masking tapes and masking solution as well in the process. And after doing all of them, including my favorite, which is zero masking, I pretty much achieved the same result. So I'll go ahead and do it without masking. And I wouldn't recommend it because it's just wrong. But if you do decide to do it this way, then you need to thin your paint first. Every paint is different and there is no exact ratio. They have different viscosities, and it also depends on how long they've been sitting in your shelf. So you have to find out that sweet spot on every paint that you're going to use. You'll know that your paint is too thick when you're leaving ugly brush marks such as these, and the surface is not even. And you'll also notice that you're losing a lot of details because the paint is just too thick. So we're going to thin the paint out a bit. I thin it down to a point where I don't get brush marks and I don't lose details too. And it shouldn't be too thin either, that it becomes transparent and you have to do extra coats. This one is just right. Just one coat, no brush marks, and all the details are in there. Now, if you get carried away and thin it out too much, then congratulations, because you just made yourself a wash. So, thin your paint in small increments and do some test painting to make sure that you have the right viscosity. And as you can see here, the one on the far right is what we're aiming for. No brush marks, single coat only, and it's not transparent, and no details were lost. And now that we're finished thinning our paint, I'll go ahead and paint the rest of the edges. All you need to do is brush at least 5 millimeters of red paint from the golden edge. That is more than enough for the next step. And once you've done that, then the critical part is over. What I have here is a Creos PS289 airbrush, and it's just an entry-level airbrush, but it's good enough to make fine lines such as these. And I'm talking about lines as fine as 1 millimeter. That means brushing 5 millimeters away from the gold edges is more than enough for your airbrush to do the rest. Just be mindful to always spray away from the golden edges and not towards it. That way you don't get the red paint on it. Now I'm gonna do the same for the rest. And this is my favorite part. I actually enjoy doing this. Here I'm gonna add a bit of redness to the skin. I'm gonna do the rest of the blue suit. And that's how you paint without masking. Now I'm gonna do a flesh base coat and add a bit of rosiness to the skin. Now I'm gonna seal everything with a matte varnish. And I'm gonna go ahead and apply the washes, starting with the yellow wash. We're just actually tinting the skin. These are almost transparent to give it a more organic look than just plain flesh paint. Now I'm doing the red wash. And you gotta work quickly, otherwise it's gonna bite into that paintwork. Now I'm gonna do stippling or freckling, and I'm gonna lower the air pressure to get this stippling or freckling effect. And I'm moving on to the blue wash. Now I'm gonna do some highlights with this pale flesh paint. I'm gonna thin it down a bit and apply it in layers. Okay, I'm moving on to the face, and I'll start off with the eyeshadows. Now I'll go ahead and paint the eyes. I'm gonna use this Gundam marker, and it'll be easier to mark the pupil of the eyes. After getting it right with the marker, I'm gonna use the brush to paint the rest of the iris. I'm gonna start with black. I'm gonna use blue paint, and I'm gonna start in the middle and work my way out to the rest of the iris. And I'm gonna use a darker shade of blue, so it needs to be darker on the upper portion and it needs to be lighter at the lower. Now I'm gonna do the eyebrows, and I'm gonna use the marker again to do the pupils. And now I'm adding red wash to the corners of the eyes, just to simulate that natural redness. And it's gonna be bone white paint for the teeth, and I'm gonna go ahead and paint the lips. The final step is to add gloss paint to the eyes. This will make the eyes pop out, and on the lips as well. Okay, I'm done with the face. I'll just add a little bit of wash on the skin just to make it look more natural. Now I'll go ahead and paint the hair. First I'm going to use yellow for base paint. And then I'll add wash just to add more details. Then I'll go ahead and dry brush it with a lighter yellow. This will make her blonde hair stand out. Now I'm gonna paint the rest of the parts, and we're almost done. I'm gonna add a bit more texture to the base, just to give it a little bit more detail. And there you have it, 1/6 scale Supergirl statue by Abe3D.